Call the July 5th, 2023 meeting of the Decatur County Board of Zoning Appeals to order. To comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Decatur County requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that is available on the table in the back of the room. First item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 7th, 2023 meeting. Everyone should have received those. Do we have any additions or corrections?
No, thank
Do
you.
you have one?
I have no corrections.
Okay. I make the motion that we pass it as sent to us, as mailed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And you
The
say-
minutes are approved.
I thought you said
Sort of, but it's okay.
okay.
First petition on the agenda, BZA petition 2023-10. Marshall Cameron is requesting a variance from the required front setback of 30 feet to a front setback of approximately 0 feet to build a garage. Request falls under Decatur County Ordinance Number 1155. Property is currently owned by the petitioner and is located just east of 6644 North, County Road 700 East, Rushville and Fugate Township. You could come up and explain your project to us, and I can walk everybody through on my computer.
We don't have video, so.
Yeah, I'll walk everybody through your packet. So do we have Marshall here? If you can come up to the podium and explain your
I'm
project.
sorry, sir, I can't hardly hear.
Okay, go on up there and state your name.
My name is Marshall Cameron, live in Clarksburg. I was wanting to build a garage. My property there in Clarksburg that I bought, I'd like to have a variance from the road, the edge of the alley, to build a garage. For the simple fact is, I want to build it on high ground, and I don't want it in my backyard. My backyard is a place for my grandchildren to play in, and I don't want it in my backyard. It's a blacktop alley back there, but it's considered an alley. It was blacktop approximately 50-some years ago. There's really no patches or tore up or anything. There's not that much traffic on it. I need a variance. Some folks tell me that it's 20 foot from the edge of the road. Some folks say it's 30 foot from the edge of the road. At any rate, I would be approximately 16 feet from the road. At the south side.
You're in the southeast corner?
I'm sorry?
Southeast corner?
Yes, sir.
You see how everything's pretty standard.
So that's an alley?
This is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Is this?
Yeah, so basically, right here is where he's wanting to go. And he's going to kind of match up. You see how these are done the same way. Point to that again, Brad. Right here, open in this area.
it. See it there, got
Okay.
that one
All right.
right there.
Yeah, it's pretty standard if you look
Yeah.
at all of the buildings. Yep. In that.
This is a road. County really doesn't maintain it
Right.
much. Marshall owns everything around it. Marshall and Jesse's, so nobody uses it.
Right.
However, it was still a platted, undeveloped road, sort of developed, but they own everything around it.
Right.
so.
Okay.
This one goes all over. That's good.
How close to the east property line will you be?
There's a public alley through there. That would approximately be 25 to 30 feet.
Is it a one or two-story garage?
Just a one-story, ma'am. And that east alley there is a dead end down through there too.
So it'll open, it'll drive out into the alley then?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
You'll drive out of the garage into the alley?
No, I would have to back out into the alley. Depending on whether we backed in or drove in. But that would give me enough room from the east alley there to park my cars or trucks there in front of the garage. I want to put my garage doors to the east. And also too, ma'am, the property to the east of that, my wife and I own it also.
Okay, thank you.
So this is the high spot, the high ground that he's talking
Right.
about.
Mhm.
He would basically
see
just be running right along there, kind of like this one is.
Right.
That one's sitting on the property line in a similar fashion.
Yeah.
Brad, I have beacon up on the screen. That's all I can get.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I was showing him, was beacon
Yeah.
and then street view. Okay, you guys have any further questions or concerns?
Nope.
Garage is just for personal use? The
Yes,
garage is
sir.
for personal?
Yes, sir.
So due to this having, you actually have a B2 zoning there, which is, it's an oddity. I'd say it was done many years ago. But if you were ever to do anything different with that garage besides personal use, you would have to come back and get an exception.
Okay.
But,
I never intend to do anything with it other than personal use, sir.
yep, okay. Just wanted to make that clear.
Okay.
You guys have anything else? Have any members of the audience with any questions or concerns?
Which that means if you have to run water to it or bathrooms in it or something, you probably have to get another.
I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't hear you.
It's okay. I said, if you ever had to run water to it or put a bathroom in it or electricity, I don't know about the electricity, but you don't have to.
No, it'd just be change of use. If it was used for a business, you would need to come back and see us.
Or an apartment or something.
It's never going to be used for a business, so I'm concerned. No.
I'll look for a motion.
I make the motion that we vote on 2310.
Second?
I'll read the votes. Gary Fisher, yes. Brad Chudy, yes. Joyce Brindley, yes. Janie Livingston, yes. And Rick Hoeing, yes.
Okay. Your petition passes. Thanks for coming in and going through the process.
Thank you, sir. Also, too, I'd like it to be known, I'd like to publicly apologize to Christopher on my misunderstanding on my part.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Folks, all have a good evening.
You too.
Next petition, BZA petition 2023-11. Brian Blanton is requesting a special exception to build a pond and a variance from the required 150-foot setback from a roadway to a setback of approximately 40 foot from a roadway to build a pond. The request falls under Decatur County Ordinance Number 330 Sub 1. Property is currently owned by the petitioner and is located just north of 7160 South, County Road 1100 West, Hartsville, and Jackson Township. Brian, if you could come up to the podium and tell us about your project.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Yeah, as you can see there in the diagram, basically wanting to build a pond, boomerang shaped, kidney shaped, nothing huge. There on the top part. I'd like to build it, it's a pretty flat piece of ground, so there's going to be a lot of dirt, a lot of dirt. So it'll be a big fuel bill, be the largest. But basically I'm going to put a berm starting at the driveway and running south with all my dirt. Yep. And then berm running east with the remainder of the dirt. So therefore, to be pretty well protected from anything. the road's not highly traveled. It's the county line road, runs north and south. But the berm would be pretty tall. 2 reasons. One, to keep people out, right, so nobody would get in the pond. And then 2, for just privacy, because as I said, that's pretty flat. And those headlights from about 1.5 miles away, you can see them shining in on that piece of property when they're heading north. So, yeah, that's all I'm asking for. Just, it's strictly it's a recreational piece of property right now. I inherited it from my father who passed, so there was 2 ponds down below, right where that red line's at, but those have been washed away due to all the drainage that flows. Our piece of property sits pretty low compared to the 1,600 acres around. Basically, everything is tiled or flows that way. It's not till you get up to about the Ned Fears where it starts flowing the other way, which is south. So my piece of property wouldn't have no problem. It'd take a while to fill up. But I got natural drainage to the north there towards the driveway at the beginning. That property starts dropping pretty quickly right there. So that's where we're thinking about putting the first dam in at. That would be the main dam, I believe. And then the second dam would be up about right where the driveway ends. That'd be the overflow dam. That's got a natural ravine already dropping that drops straight into the middle of that woods.
Brian, there's a pointer there. If you
Oh,
just hit the button, don't put it in anybody's face.
okay.
but-
Yeah, don't be chasing the screen either. You guys don't be putting your paws up there. But yeah, basically the pond would be, sorry about my shakiness there. It'd be right there and it'd just run right around and then curve back. So like I said, kind of like a boomerang, kidney-shaped pond. That way I keep them 150 feet away from their house. And then if I was to ever build, I've already gotten a septic approved for over here. And then I would build back in there. So, but right now I want to use it mostly just for recreational. The land don't get used for anything. It just grows up in weeds. And
Is that driveway an easement on your property, Brian?
no, I think that's Tony probably knows more about this than me. I don't know about, I think the property line's marked right. I just think that's the way it lays on the zoning, but, or on the screen, or whatever you
Oh,
call
I
it.
see what you're saying. That's just where it,
Yeah, it just lays right on top of it. But it's, my property line, basically, yes, it goes straight to that edge of that driveway, runs all the way up to the corner of their.
is there a culvert pipe in that driveway?
Yes, big, and I put a 3-foot.
On the drive going back to the house?
Oh yeah, 3-foot. There's 3-foot culvert pipe there. I was kind of planning ahead, and then I got another 3-foot culvert pipe on the overflow already put in there, right where that driveway ends, right there. There's a 3-foot culvert pipe there and a 3-foot culvert pipe.
So what about this driveway?
This, there's nothing. There might be a culvert pipe down here. This land just kind of flows gradually towards me.
So you're showing, on one of these sheets, we're showing 9 acres of drainage, approximately running that direction.
Yeah, I think it's about right here, Brad. I think it's right in here.
Yeah.
It kind of,
Pulling off some topo maps, and that seems fairly accurate.
yeah, right.
Do you know if there's any drain tile that goes through there?
No, there's none to my knowledge. There's any drain tile that goes through there. I mean, my dad never tiled it or anything that I'm aware of.
So with your surface drainage, though, I mean, you're pulling a bunch of water off of a farm field here. So that's,
If you let me make it bigger, I'll make it bigger.
well, the problem is you've got a lot of runoff there, and it's all going to come off of a farm field. So that's something to be fully aware of.
Yeah.
I mean,
Chemicals.
yeah, you're I'm not saying you're asking for trouble, but I've always had a recommendation on any of those, if we could do a buffer strip on your side, a grass strip. I don't know how far up you're going to come with the shoreline.
I'd like to run it as close as I can to gain as much as I can. So, but you got to remember, I'm going to be putting a berm in, so that's going to be what, and I'd like to be able to mow it. So you're looking at, what,
Right,
4
you
feet?
can't- You can't berm to block any of the water that's running at you.
Oh, okay, that's what you're saying. So leave this open right here, this
Yeah,
part.
that would have to,
Yeah,
the only other thing that you could do would be to divert it around your pond. But you can't impede any of that water. In other words, the elevation of that, everything that comes across that drive, you'd have to be lower than that with anything on your side.
okay, yeah, that'd be no problem. I can
So
manage it.
would you then divert the water around it, or would you try to run it into it?
I'd probably try to make like a little, a berm, right, a bank, yeah, divert, and run it into the backside here, into the middle. Like
So
right
if
in
you're
there.
going back,
So what I could do is make a swell, right, basically down this driveway,
yeah, you need to
and
go,
then I'd run it this way.
you would struggle going east just for the lay of the land. I'm not saying that you couldn't, but it would take some dirt work to cut that ditch around.
You say it'd be easier going to the west?
You could do it either way. I'm just looking at a cross section here through that, basically just north of that drive.
Okay. Yeah, I could run it either way. It doesn't.
That would be my recommendation.
Okay.
Now granted, it's gonna take a little longer to fill your pond, but then you don't have to worry about any surface water coming from,
Yeah.
a neighboring farm field. And if there's 9 acres coming there, that's a substantial amount of water coming in.
Okay. Yeah, I'll run
I mean,
it.
like I say, we would want to make sure that the surface water continued to drain the way that it always did. There was
Will
no
do.
restriction there. That would be, and that's also going to limit how, like you say, if you're going to do a berm there, that berm's going to limit your proximity to the drive.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to keep it away regardless. But then you would need to maintain positive drainage all the way around that berm.
Can do. Now on the
It's there, it's able to be done.
west side, Brad, right here, I don't have to worry about that, right? Because there's already a natural.
Yeah, that drops down the hill
Yeah.
really well there.
Yes.
So that water.
So it's basically right here at the corner of the driveway going to the east.
Essentially, you would set it up, and the low spot in that drive is actually about right here. I would say the bulk of the
Yep.
water is going to cross right
I would agree. Yeah, I've seen it wash there
You
before.
can shed that around the east side.
Yeah, we'll run a swell right through here.
I think
Dump it right in the back.
And you're talking about diverting the water out away around the pond, not
Yeah.
into the pond.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way he doesn't have to worry about any runoff at all. There's no concerns.
Yeah.
And to go to the to the east, you would limit your impact on the current county ditch too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one.
It's-
No, I don't really want to take it to the
Correct.
west because
Yeah.
that's 9
You're
more
you're
acres
limited on
in
what
that
you could do.
ditch.
Yeah.
That's just, I think that would be our recommendations for sure at a minimum.
I could do that. Ain't no
And we would
problem.
definitely want to confirm that there's no tile going through there.
Yeah.
But you guys got any thoughts?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we
I don't believe there's been any tile since 19, I think.
Well,
Dad bought that
sure.
in 61. Oh, yeah.
Hopefully he knows. I've got some aerials that look like they tell me something, but I don't know where your outlet runs. But, so you guys got any more questions for Brian?
No.
Who's across the road to the west?
To that, that's Scott Stam.
That's Scotty's place?
Yeah. Scotty Bass put that in. He put that in about 10, 12 years ago.
Okay, Brian?
Yep. That's all I've got.
You have any comments, Tony, or?
Hi, my name's Robert Wickens, and I represent TJ Marsh Farms LLC. And they've asked me to be here just to express, it's okay. Just to express an objection to this. First of all, in coming here and reading the petition, it's a little bit unclear. They really have to ask for 2 special exceptions or easements on both the west side, which is the county road, which requires 150 feet permit, and on the south side is a private road right-of-way easement that is on the Marsh property, and
That is a written easement?
yes. And the ordinance requires 150 feet from that as well. And so it's not clear on my reading of the petition that they knew that they're required for both of those, or that there's 2 specific easements. And so I would just point out that it is also a substantial difference from what the ordinance requirements are. I mean, this is going from 150 feet to 40 feet on two different boundaries. So I think that's a rather exceptional request on their part. And I think the board has kind of expressed the main concern about that all of this water that would lead into this pond would come from an agricultural source and create problems down the road that I think were expressed that, it would be wise for probably everybody in the area to avoid future problems. And therefore, we would just ask that the board enforce this typical ordinance and not grant a special exception or a variance.
Thank you. Okay, board. Thoughts?
Is there any way at all that they can make the variance by doing something different?
No, it would require a variance regardless.
Right. I mean, as far as not making it quite so big.
No. Yeah, hang on. We'll get you back up, Brian.
So 150 foot from both the roadway and the easement, to maintain those intact, you'd end up with a water hole, essentially. There's just not sufficient room there, based off my measurements, with the ordinances intact, to put a proper pond, what the petitioner is desiring. Is that accurate?
Mm-hmm. That is accurate.
Mr. Wickens?
Yes.
The property to the south, where the arrow is there now, that's the farm that you're representing, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that drive on the blue line there, Brad, that's an easement across
That property.
that same property?
Yes.
And it's not, so that is not on Brian's property,
No.
correct?
No, that's just a visual. That's the float from the Google Earth image that they overlaid. So that actually is an easement.
Okay, so where the house is that a different property then?
Yes.
And is that associated with your client?
No.
Okay.
My client owns the property. That client can exercise the easement to access, or that the house can exercise the easement to access its house.
And is there any representation for the house property here this evening? I think not.
It doesn't appear so. You guys have any questions?
Well, my question is, if you do the runoff, the swale, the direction you're talking about, is this home any lower?
No, it's higher.
It's higher.
Mhm.
Because I have seen where,
There's your cross view. So this is, see this line?
yeah.
Here's how the land
Oh,
lays.
okay.
And as we move, you see the arrow, as you move to the house, that rises. This is the low area. This is where the water drains from that field across this property.
Okay.
And that's what they're speaking of, is the waters. If this was full, that's what he's talking about.
How far? Do you have any idea how far it's gonna be?
No, not directly. That's where we would be probably at a 30-foot minimum just to get, if there was a berm and a swale in there.
If it's 30 feet, then I will need to re-advertise. If it's 40 feet, the advertisement was that they wanted a variance from the 150 feet from a road to 40 feet. So if it's 40 feet, then our legal ad works.
That's okay. I mean,
Yeah, even if there's two, I mean, we'll define, I don't think Krista was aware of it being an actual easement.
Right.
But we advertised it as 40, 150 down to 40, so if it would go below that, I would want to re-advertise.
I guess my bare minimum on the situation is that we can't have any, if you were to go for this, we can't have any water from the field going into that pond. Because that's going to be, I mean, it's just inviting trouble.
Absolutely.
Now, to maintain that, you know, we would have to require, we would have to state that in this exception, because we are doing an exception. And that would have to be maintained, to have the positive drainage, no water backing up, which you couldn't back up onto that drive anyhow.
So you're the person we asked if there's any drainage tile in that larger field.
Going through that property.
I don't have any factual knowledge over the property.
No tile outlets through there.
No, but to go with the advertisement and whether anybody adjoining property owners were given notice, I don't think that the advertisement and the petition make clear that they're requesting special exceptions from two different roadways, one a public roadway and the other a private right-of-way or easement, which is a private roadway.
That's a good point.
Is that true?
It didn't define it as two separate, it just said 40 feet from, well, Krista has it. And in our pond, it specifies that a roadway or easement are handled the same way.
And I'm not sure who has an easement and where it is. Is it on?
It's on the
Property to
property
the
that
south?
he's representing.
In there, so there is a written easement there.
What are you saying?
Is it an ingress and egress easement?
Yes.
Is that an intermittent stream to the north? Is it a named stream? What's the
It's got a
classification?
blue line.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay.
It runs all the time.
Hmm?
It runs all the time.
Yeah, it's not intermittent.
Yeah, except there actually used to be two ponds on that stream. There used to be two separate lakes. They've been washing it over the years. Because I could clean those out, but I'm trying to move this route for
Thoughts?
Brad, pull that picture up for the property to the south. How does that lay? Where's the other roads? Where's their ingress and egress to that field?
Debbie's got that, but I can show you right here, Gary.
He's showing you here.
Yeah. Okay.
Field access is at the drive.
Now, the field to the south, where do they come in?
come in from on down. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I want to see, a bigger out picture there.
That driveway is a little narrow. Can't put no farm equipment on it.
Okay.
Missy, do you have a recommendation as far as the advertisement goes?
Do we know yet what the requirements would be, or what the request is from the ingress and egress easement?
I'm assuming 40 foot, but, I mean, that would be another stipulation that you would require at a bare minimum. But I mean, if it has to be re-advertised, it has to be re-advertised.
Are all of the adjoining property owners that were provided notice here tonight?
No.
All except the one that she's already checked, she personally called.
I mean, we can definitely re-advertise it. I think probably the issues are gonna remain the same with the one property owner that's here represented.
Correct.
So I think definitely to try to figure out
The solution?
all of the questions or you know, I'm sure the property owner's wanting to move as soon as possible with the weather for installation and everything, so just to try to get all the issues on the table or information that we need so that we don't have to delay it another meeting as well.
Thank you.
So their main concern, if I understand, make sure I understand, is that it wasn't advertised correctly, or they just don't want a pond there? What's the issue?
Well, I think that the issue of the advertisement is that we came in here not really sure exactly what easement what they were requesting a variation from. But second, yes, I do think it's a bad idea to allow a pond that will receive all of its water from agricultural use, and the runoff from agricultural use will likely create problems in the future. And so, yes, they're opposed to it for that reason, but also just a matter of whether all the requirements were met and also whether it's clear. I mean, it is a substantial request to go from 150 feet on 2 different roads to either 40 or 30 feet. I'm not sure exactly what the request is.
I guess my thought would be to respect the property owner's rights to the south. If that's, if that's what they want to use, and to use the law as it's written or the ordinance as it's written to their benefit at some point in time, then future use may be something different than a farm field, that we need to protect their rights too. Whether we give up the county's rights on the road, I think that's a different discussion.
You're saying as far as setback, not necessarily the pond.
The setback on the road is a different discussion from the setback on the easement next to that field.
So, but I guess you need to dive into that a little more. What differences would there be if drainage is always maintained?
As we talk about being 150 away, we've had previous pond meetings where, we're on a curve. I think in one of the meetings, do we need to be far enough away from that not to have, a public hazard along the road where that particular discussion was at? Is there something that Mr. Wicken's client may want to do later that might impede what they want to do? Or I'm going to throw a what if they wanted to develop that and then they said they had to push their houses back farther and have less houses over there because of the pond is there, for example.
Well, we can what if all night.
We can what if all night.
Well,
I do think you bring up a good aspect, and it was one I was thinking of, is 40 foot sufficient for public safety on a roadway with a body of water that close? And we can talk about drainage all day long, but are there any public safety concerns with a body of water that close to roadway?
there's a lot of them. I went through that today and I found miles, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, granted, it's existing, so this would be a different situation.
Correct.
Yeah, 40 feet's close.
If I'm driving along the road, for example, could I just drive off the road and drive right into it? Is there going to be something? Or how big is that?
Remember, Gary, this isn't the water. This isn't the shoreline. The shoreline's not 40 feet.
I understand.
The toe of the dam is 40 feet.
Right. But I'm just saying, is there a berm there? Do I have to launch up the berm and then drive into the pond? You know, that makes a difference to me.
It does.
Now, my understanding was he was going to put a berm both ways, the road access and the driveway access. Now, but to your point about the runoff, the same thing you were speaking to, is to have to put a swale to divert that away.
Another dilemma you're going to run into here, Brian, is as you build this dam, you keep the toe of that dam 40 feet away. As you go to the north, as your elevation increases, your pond's getting smaller because you're building the dam higher.
Oh, yeah, yes.
So
Yeah.
You're gonna shrink it.
Driveway there, you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that's what I'm envisioning, is the majority of the driveway there, where the longest part of it is, right? The east-west part, that's gonna be, right, the majority of the dam. And then, as alluded to, yeah, there'll be a large berm, and eventually trees, fence will be put up all along that again, be fenced in. And then on the south side, what I can do is I can just drop it back 50, 60, 100 feet, whatever it needs to be done, to put the swell in about a quarter way down that driveway. Then I'll just make a slight snake bend around and drop it right back into the stream that's to the north of me, where all the farm fields from that 1,600 acres come from anyways. I'm used to having a lot of water come towards us, because like I said, we sit the lowest part. But, yeah, it's a good place. I think it can be done safely. There's a lot of ponds in this county that are like that. I know several that have been built recently that have berms for the variance, so it can be done. And that way there'll be no runoff from the agricultural land to the south of it. But the easement there, I'm a little confused on that. I didn't know that was an easement. I'd like to see if that really is an easement.
well, it's still an access to the property, so it's going to be considered that regardless.
Because the way it read when I was applying for the pond was 30 feet from the property line, so 40 feet from the property line, so from any adjoining property, 150 feet from the home, so, which, of course, going back to the west from the home, I'm keeping it 150 feet away from them. That would be no problem. I just like to utilize the piece of land and make it valuable for the county, so you get more tax money instead of just,
Thoughts?
I just wish you'd redig these old ponds.
that would be a huge.
That was just a thought that popped in my mind.
Right.
Because some of those.
I'm a great believer in having the right to do, you bought the property, you own it, should be able to do what you do, but then you've got to always consider what impact and, my honest concern is these little boogers in that house right there. If you get one of those floods like we've been known to have around here, and his swale goes down there, now
Well,
that's a what if.
He
That's a
says
big,
way higher,
big what if.
way higher.
Now, is there, would the highway department require a guardrail, maybe? So
If
that,
they wanted me to go one up, I wouldn't have no problem.
right. Usually that'll stop a car if they do
Yeah.
get ramped up, Gary. But, I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen, but
You can do that.
woulda,
Look
coulda,
at-
shoulda.
Yeah, I mean, look at Walt's Pond down there on 3. There's a lot of what ifs with that pond. I mean, if it was to go, you'd lose the whole highway on Highway 3. There, south of Sardinia, that's a 100-foot dam.
Yeah.
Built right on the highway, so.
Brad, in your experience, 25, 50-year water event, what kind
Your-
of swell?
Your
what will it take?
emergency spillway would have to be built into the dam.
I'm
And
worried
it-
about the flow coming from the field
Oh.
around the pond. Is 40 foot adequate? Does it need to be more than that?
So here's my biggest thing with all of this is it's a very unique site, and it's very tight to do. I'm not saying that you can't do everything and actually meet all of our requests, but we've run into this issue many times on these pond constructions that if we don't have a benchmark to work off of and a set of plans that we can hold something to, we run into trouble. And that's where I'm sitting. I mean, this could be designed and it could work fine to appease the entire situation. Your pond may be a little bit smaller than what you wanted, but what we need, and this is just because I do this every day, I need a set of plans.
I can get you set of plans.
In other words, for us, I think for us to be comfortable with all the concerns that I'm hearing from the entire row of people, and every time we've ever had a dilemma on a pond, it was just because we didn't have anything to refer back to. We lay out a set of stipulations and may not have something to enforce. Something else that I'm going to ask Missy about, so our special exception, in other words, in order to have some enforcement, if we were to allow a pond to be built, can we put a time frame on that special exception so it could come back in and be looked at and critiqued?
You mean like through the construction phase?
No, just as our special exception in general. In other words, we do limited special exceptions on time frames on other instances.
Conditional uses. Those are conditional uses, they're not special exceptions. Timeframes tag with our conditional uses.
I thought we've done some on special exceptions where we give it a restriction and reviewed it in, say, 5 years.
Yeah, usually we just lay the criteria out and make sure that.
I'm just thinking of a reason that we could review the situation, because that's been the problem. Depending on who builds it, how construction goes, we have no way to verify anything that we
Well,
give.
if there are plans and if all the requirements are listed, then it's being granted based upon that happening. If it comes out and it doesn't, the plans aren't followed, the requirements aren't met, then there could be, the pond could have to disappear.
I guess that's where we're sitting as a board, is we've been through this enough times that if we've got a concrete set of plans that we can review and say, okay, this is what it's going to look like, and you can prove with distances, okay, here's start a berm, toe a berm, here's a swale that's got this much width to it that flows around, that's going to take that water. Okay. I mean, that's just, we've been through this. Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry.
maybe less.
Yeah.
Maybe less.
Maybe less.
Maybe less.
Because we've been down this road, and taking a pond out's not much fun either when you have to roll down the road. I mean, I don't know, what do you guys think?
I agree with you. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
I think with all the
I think we'd
concerns.
like-
I think with the multiple concerns around,
So basically, you want the distance from the road to the top of the berm, to the edge
I
of
need
the water,
I need a water level.
from the north, south,
Yep.
and then basically what the swell will look like, how wide it will be, and the approach of it going back.
Yes.
Draw a pretty picture.
We would need benchmarks off of probably existing culvert inlets to be verified as far as what elevation, which, I mean, it can be a simple shot on that elevation. But that would be our benchmark to maintain anything in the future, as far as, you would need cross-sections of that drive as it goes back, or at least the edge of the drive. In other words, we need to know what that line looks like down
On the
that.
pond line?
No, of the drive that goes back to the pond.
Easement.
In other words, at your property line, I need to know the elevations, say every 25 feet and all the way down that property line.
And have you had a site plan reviewer, or what am I trying to say?
No,
An
not on
engineer
this.
or anything to look at?
No, because the dam
Okay.
height's not
Yeah,
enough.
it doesn't meet the criteria from what I've read.
And it would have to meet the 40-foot setback advertised in the,
Right.
what they
With-
put in.
Yes. And that would actually be with construction.
Mr. Wickens, is there any room for compromise in the future with Brian on this possibly? I'm not a mediator, but that might be something to sit down in a room and talk about before he comes back with a set of plans at 40 feet and somebody may not like.
Yeah, I'm sure that I would certainly recommend that my clients be open to meeting and looking to see if there is a compromise. And that's a little bit where the notice, we came in here, we're not real sure whether it was both roadways, private and public, and that, so.
Clarified as well.
Yeah, so we would have some time and we could at least
In other
talk.
words,
Oh, it's not even almost.
if we can get something that we can look at and confirm, and something that can be maintained and hold Brian accountable to as well, that this needs to be maintained, that we maintain drainage, to not impede any of the drainage off of your client's field, and that none of that drainage would enter his pond. If we can have the verifications of all of those, it'd be more inclined that I think this board could go for that.
And I think my clients would be willing to talk, but we reserve the right to object to
Yeah,
whatever the
absolutely.
proposals are.
But I think if we've got
Yes.
something that we can point to and object, for sure,
Yeah,
that we're all on the same page, that's gonna help us out.
Because 40-foot concerns me.
Yeah, your distance from the road, I mean, those are the things to take into consideration, Brian, as far as, a shoreline 40 foot, that is really close. Now granted, if you've got your berm there, then I can say, okay, the berm's your shoreline's 80 feet in, your
Yeah, that's what
berm,
it'll wind up being. by the time
your
you do the
berm is
press.
here, yeah.
It'll be-
And you can encroach on that ditch, so you've got to maintain about 12, 15 feet is what they typically,
Yeah, you're looking in between the light blue line and the dark blue where it says 1.6. Your berm would basically be almost in the middle of that
yeah.
by the time you pile the dirt and everything.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? That's a lot farther than.
Yeah, yeah, but that's what we need, is that depiction. Board?
I agree with you.
Do we need
So
to,
we
have we made a decision on re-advertising and coming back, or are we waiting?
I will re-advertise it when I get
Yes.
the plans.
Sounds good. We gotta do
Do I
that
need a
right.
motion to table that? Or I can just tell you.
You can just say it's gonna be tabled.
Okay, we'll table
Just
that.
make sure that the plans come in time for us to make publication for the next month.
Yeah, that won't happen. I mean, I can't get somebody that quick. It'll be a month or two. Yeah,
Just as
now
soon
that I
as
can't start
possible.
now, this pond project will be pushed till next year now.
Yeah,
I
which
can
is,
have approval today, because of dry weather. August and September when you build, not October.
this'll make for a better outcome, though.
Yeah.
Okay. That was the last item on our agenda for the BZA. Seeing no others, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Call the July 5th, 2023 meeting of Decatur County Area Plan Commission to order to comply with Title VI, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Decatur County requests participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that is available on the table in the back of the room. First item on the agenda, approval of the June 7th minutes. You all should have received that in your packet. Do you have any additions or corrections? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the June 2023 minutes.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those are approved. First item on the agenda, APC petition 2023-10. Adam Smith is requesting to subdivide approximately 25 acres out of 54 acres and rezone approximately 2.99 acres out of that 25 acres from an A1 zoning classification to an A2 zoning classification for construction of a single-family detached dwelling. This request falls under Decatur County Ordinance, section number 920 sub 7 and 915. Property is owned by Adam, Kevin, and Joshua Smith and is located just north of 4391 South County Road 750 West Westport in Clay Township. Adam, if you could come up and tell us about your project.
Just walk up to the, we want to know my house.
I'm gonna be like a deer.
That's okay. Just tell us about what you're doing and we'll look over your packet.
I'm just wanting to get a house to put on my property at the top of the woods right there. Be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Okay, just bringing a drive straight off of the road. Is that the
I'm gonna
plan?
use the pond dam I'm using to get to it. Kind of around to the south side of the house.
Okay. Oh, right here.
I can't tell where it is from here.
On the south, that black line, she's just got beacon.
Yeah, couldn't get the PowerPoint. Technical difficulty.
Technical difficulties.
Getting to my sheet. Oh, you got it right.
Pond dam's been there
Here,
60 years.
Ryan,
probably.
I'm looking for,
Yeah, Kristen.
you got the,
That's the whole 54 acres there, Adam.
Which one is it?
It's outlined in red now.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Like
what
it.
it is.
Well, that'd be 75 altogether.
so you're just splitting
That
the,
is 50. Yeah.
you're splitting that up into,
Yeah, me and my 2 brothers are
okay.
on the middle section, and they're on each
Sort
side.
of like that.
Good job.
That's really good, yeah.
Okay.
He's getting 25 in the center there.
There's an existing corn crib, double corn crib at the bottom on the road. I'm going up the hill behind it.
You guys got any questions? Looks like everything's in order.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's what I was looking at. Good, makes sense.
Have anyone from the public with any questions, concerns, or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion. From one of yous.
I'll make a motion to take a vote on 2023-10.
I'll second.
I'll read the votes. Ryan Kennelly, yes. Tom Cherry, yes. Brad Schutte, yes. Jay Shetmer, yes. Sheila Kirkhoff, yes. Paul Stone, yes.
All right, Adam, looks like you get to start on your
All right.
getting a new house journey.
Now the headache part.
Make sure you keep in touch with the office as you work through everything. Next item on the agenda, APC petition 2023-11, Barry and Joe Mormon requesting to subdivide 8.25 acres out of 15.5 acres, rezone approximately 1.5 acres out of the 8.25 from an A1 zoning classification to A2 zoning classification for construction of a single-family detached dwelling. This request falls under Decatur County Ordinance Section Number 920 Sub 7 and 915. Property is owned by the petitioners and is located at 2176 North, County Road 850 East, Greensburg, and Fugit Township. Barry, wake up. I'll make Jill.
So we're wanting to subdivide it so I can sell the other house to my son, and then we want to build a new house. Is basically what it is. That way Jill can have grandkids that can walk over to the house when she's old and in a wheelchair.
Now, are you going kind of between your campsites and your existing house?
Yes.
The way it's drawn on this, I know
Yeah.
it's not up there, but
Yeah, that's probably the place.
Going to use that existing drive and
Yep.
I don't,
everything else is in order.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Sanitary.
We don't really need.
I want a piece of property like that.
Maybe Barry would sell it to you.
I said I want a piece of property like that.
It is for sale.
For the right price.
The way houses cost nowadays, it might have just doubled.
I don't want to build a house. I want to put my camper over there, just like they've got.
Now you're going to have to find a new campsite.
No.
Yeah, I think it's all good.
Okay, thank you.
Doesn't, well, we got a boat, but you can sit down. There's nobody else here.
Don't think your neighbors are complaining.
Poor guy. Need a motion.
Make a motion to vote on APC 2023-11.
I'll second the motion on 2023-11.
I'll read the votes. Tom Cherry, yes. Brian Kennelly, yes. Brad Schutte, yes. Jay Schuttmer, yes. Paul Stone, yes. Sheila Kirkhoff, yes.
Passes. Congratulations. Good luck. Now the fun begins.
Now you got work to do, Barry.
So that's Jamie Livingston right there?
Yeah. Yeah, she's,
Really? They stop throwing out all of our mistakes every time.
That way, if you didn't like the vote,
call Janie.
her address is on the back of there.
Great folks you're working with.
I need a motion to adjourn, gang.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Roll it.
Aye.
Who motioned?
I did.
Ryan
And I did.
Sheila seconded.